Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Monday to you. Michael Patrick Shields in the American Metal Roost studio here, and very glad to have you with us on this week that is the beginning of the week that includes the most important day of the year, St. Patrick's Day. And later in the program, we'll be joined by the United States Ambassador to Ireland, who is also Chairman Emeritus of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dan Rooney. Will be coming up shortly with us in our American Metal Roost studio this morning, and producer Amanda Wall at the microphone and at the keyboard. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
And Rachel Chavez from Grand Rapids and Michigan State University, production assistant in Chair 3. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. And moving it forward this morning is the anchorman, Gary Austin. Good morning to you, sir.
Well, Michael Patrick, good morning. Here we are, the start of another week, and this is a very big week for you because you are beginning. Well, are your bags packed?
Bags are packed.
You've got one foot out the door.
I'm leaving on a jet plane later today to go across the sea to
You're
Ireland.
on your way today. Well, very good.
If you ever go across the sea to Ireland, I'll stop right there because
fly
I've got to
safe.
have whiskey in order to sing, and we haven't had that yet this morning. Big news: Michigan State, and Oakland University are all going to the NCAA tournament. It was
Isn't that great?
Little bit scary for the Spartans as they dropped all the way down to the 10th seed in the Southeast region, but the Wolverines got in, and Golden Grizzlies, too. They won their way in, and it's going to be all fun. It's going to start Thursday, the NCAA tournament, on St. Patrick's Day. So can you imagine all the people who are going to be in the pubs whooping it up and watching basketball on the same day?
Oh, man, I tell you, what a field day for basketball fans. That's
so
terrific.
MSU gets UCLA, and then Oakland, they have to play Texas. And the Wolverines are going to go up against Tennessee. So they've all got their work cut out for them, no question about that. Is that the Golden Grizzly fight song? It is. Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. Second year in a row they've made the NCAA tournament. Yeah. They had a heck of a year. They had their 13th seed, but they earned that by going 17-1 in their conference. So we got 3 teams from Michigan to root for.
They say these NCAA championship, I mean, this is the start of this. This is the start of a new season,
March
right?
Madness.
Yeah, a new season, fresh slate and all that. However, there may be no slate for the National Football League. What's up with that? The owners have locked out the players. We kind of saw this was going to, kind of had a feeling, right, MPS, this was going to happen, and it is. So
we've heard people say, in fact, Brian Rooney said that, who is Dan Rooney's nephew, he's on the board of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He lives in Michigan. He said that the NFL might lose half the season.
Wow. It's been a while.
How are fans going to react to that?
I don't know. You know, we've had these lockouts before. We've seen it in Major League Baseball several times.
Don't people ultimately just say, look, this is sports. Can't you get it together?
Yeah, at first there's some.
Like the state of Michigan can sort out its budget problems. The the United States government can avoid a shutdown. Don't you think football can figure it out?
Well, they eventually will, but the big question is how many fans will be disillusioned. And you do have your purists out there who say, I've just had it. These players make a ton of money. Where do they get off doing this?
So
I'm not going to go anymore. It's true. But most fans, your diehards will stay away for a while, but it seems like eventually this always works itself out. When it does,
but why do
fans
they do
stay
that
away. They always
us?
Come back.
Why do they take us for granted? They take us for granted, don't they?
I don't know. It's
if you had a great business going, would you do anything to avoid a work stoppage?
Well, there's concern here. Players are concerned about givebacks, which is the big deal.
Okay, they already make more money than the owners do.
Well,
okay, the players, if you look at it, they make something like 61% of the revenue pie, and the owners are saying that's too much. We got big stadiums. We got to keep this thing going here in order to pay these salaries. That's as I understand it. And then the other problem is the owners want more games so they can make more money. They want to expand the season to 18 games.
Right.
Players don't like that idea because it's already brutal as it is.
Yeah.
And then what about these rookies that get drafted? Okay, take Matthew Stafford, for instance, if you want. $60 million. How many games has he even played in the first 2 seasons? He's been hurt. He's been non-effective. He hasn't been ready. So they're saying we need a rookie salary cap. You don't care, do you?
Well, no. I mean, you're right. When you're saying all of that, I'm thinking, as you were saying that, I was thinking what Joe and Jane on Main Street, who are jobless, are thinking as you're saying that. No, it's a good point. We have sky high unemployment around here, and then you have these players quibbling over, how many how many the billions of dollars, how the pie should be divvied up, and who should get how much.
And you know what else
I mean,
the
that's what this
players
is
are
all
going to say?
about.
The players are going to say, we have a short career because we're out there risking our bodies and, we're in grave danger.
That's true.
You know what? Drive down I-96 and see a guy tarring the side of the road and tell me he's not in, grave danger,
Yeah, I know.
making far less than a football player does.
It's an ongoing argument. We've had it ever since collective bargaining became a big deal in professional sports, and it's something that's not going to go away anytime soon. We can only hope that all sides can eventually get along and we can get this season underway eventually. We'll see.
Speaking of the NFL, the man we're going to speak to later, Dan Rooney, is the chairman emeritus of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the son of the guy who founded the Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney, and he was named U.S. Ambassador to Ireland.
Yes.
That's his role right now. And if you go on the Steelers website or if you go into Pittsburgh, they sell Steelers merchandise, like a Pittsburgh Steeler hat with shamrocks on it, in honor of his being ambassador to Ireland.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool? And, of course, Gary, you remember the moment, don't you? You remember the moment when Mitt Romney was running for president.
I do.
His father had been governor of Michigan. He had been governor of Massachusetts.
And at that very moment, your heart skipped a beat.
Because Mitt Romney was still alive. I mean, he was in the race for the Republican nomination. So he was campaigning in Michigan, and he called the program. And I asked him the all-important question. What shot have I got at being named U.S. Ambassador to Ireland?
Well, with a name like Michael Patrick, I think you got a pretty good shot indeed.
My fingers are crossed then. Thank you very much. See, I took that as a promise. And unfortunately, Mitt Romney did not only did he not win the presidency, he didn't win the Republican nomination.
But there's always next time.
And so Dan Rooney ends up with the gig, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk with him later about what it's like to be the U.S. Ambassador to Ireland on this St. Patrick's Day week. You have
but
news
you know
for
what?
us. Yep.
Let's say, though, if Mitt Romney runs again, gets the nomination,
Yeah.
and he pulls it out, he's elected president, are you going to remind him of that? And perhaps you and your old buddy, Mr. Rooney there, can kind of do a joint sort of thing.
Well, I could get the endorsement of the current ambassador
Yeah.
to the President Romney if he were to
You
win.
could be his assistant or something.
Chargé d'affaires is what that's called.
That's right. We all
You think I haven't studied this?
You've covered all the bases, we can be sure. We talk about sports, and some may say we put too much emphasis and too much importance on sports. And I think we look at the big picture on what's going on in the world today, and I think most would agree what's going on in Japan is certainly more devastating than anybody ever could have imagined. And now we have word that an explosion has rocked and already damaged a nuclear power plant over there. And I don't know where this is going to go from here, but it's just getting more and more serious as time goes on.
The news brought to you this morning by American Metal Roofs. AmericanMetalRoofs.com is where you can go. You'll never have to worry about your roof again, come rain or come shine, at American Metal Roofs. And I hear the weather is going to be great for St. Patrick's Day. Could be in the 50s here in Michigan, and sunny. That seems to always happen on that day, even if it snows later. And Rachel Chavez, Gary, our production assistant, has brought a present for us this morning. Manna, could you run out there and into the kitchen of our American Metal Roofs studio and bring in Rachel? Was on spring break you weren't you, the last couple of, last week, right?
Yes, yep. I was back in Grand Rapids.
And just, she has brought, you can see these on Fox 47, green shamrock cupcakes, Gary.
Oh,
with green sprinkles on top.
boy, that's terrific.
Well, they're extra special
Uh-oh.
because I layered them and it's a rainbow. So it's
Like
if you open it up and you take a bite, you can see the colors of the rainbow. So
What colors?
every color.
Like the rainbow, like the
Yeah.
pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Take a bite.
Take a bite.
Oh, everyone.
We'll cut one in half. I'm not eating on TV, but anyway, thank you very much. And you used Bailey's and Jameson in the recipe. Is that what you did?
Yep, especially for
If
St.
you
Patrick's
say so,
Day.
right. Well, thank you very much, Rachel Chavez, our production assistant, who will be here the rest of the week with Rich Kincaid. Rich Kincaid will be guest hosting on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and of course Thursday we'll be live from Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, thanks to the resorts of Tullymore. And Amanda is trying to play. I thought you liked the Food Network. She's running around trying to cut one of these cupcakes in half. Don't you have a Ginsu knife? In Japan, the hand can be used like a knife. And she's going to bring in one of these cupcakes and see. Where'd you get this recipe?
I found it. I Googled it.
You Googled it. Okay.
I just dyed the cake batter.
The cake batter. Oh, I see. So the cake batter is very cool.
They're magically delicious.
Well, thanks a million. We sure appreciate that. 18 minutes after the hour. So, oh, there it is. Look at that. She's not kidding, Gary. The batter inside the cupcake is all different colors. You
Well, very
really
good.
ought to. This is really something. We ought to take a picture. Can we take a picture of those and put them on our website? You have a camera you can do that with? I'm going to turn to the kids for the technology. 18 minutes after the hour, it's Michael Patrick Shields. When we come back, we'll get you the rest of the news and the full sports report, too. And we will, in fact, go live to Ireland with a little preview. Stay tuned for that. Dan Rudy, the ambassador to Ireland and chairman emeritus of the Pittsburgh Steelers, joins us later in the program. Will there be an NFL season next year? Stay tuned. It's Michael Patrick Shields. Gary Austin will help keep us informed here in our American Metal Roof studio, Mr. Austin. Lots of other news going on. You know, we talked about Michigan State and Oakland University making the NCAA tournament, but what about Fenville? The Fenville Blackhawks still competing in the Class C high school basketball playoffs. This, as you know by now, after the death of their star Wes Leonard at the end of the regular season after making the game-winning layup to keep the team undefeated at 20-0. Fenville tonight is going to play again where?
They're going to be at Vicksburg tonight and talk about hot tickets. We've got 1,500 gone already, and they expect another full house for this one.
500 more are going to be released this morning
yeah.
at 8, I understand, for the game against Schoolcraft for Fenville, the Michigan High School Athletic Association. It's we've never seen anything like it, have we? The kind of outpouring in support of this team after the loss of Wes Leonard, and they'll go at it again. There's a huge demand for tickets to be there, and actually I understand people are even scalping them. So that's going to be one loud, emotional gym again tonight.
Yep. Hey, you know who's going into the rock? Talk about a loud rocker. Alice Cooper. He's finally done it. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, the inductions are tonight, huh?
Yes. He's from Detroit, as we know. He's heading in. You know, someone told me they heard Alice Cooper, you know, on some radio stations. He does a syndicated sort of rock and roll type show. And he was giving his comment about one thing or another. And someone phoned in and says, Alice Cooper, what do you know about that? You make $1 million out of this goofy song called School's Out for Summer, and somehow you think you're an expert? And Alice Cooper paused for a second and said, you know what? First of all, that's more like $10 million on that song. And let me tell you another thing. And then he went on. Isn't that great? I like that.
Here's a little Alice Cooper going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tonight.
And I don't know what I want. 18, I just don't know what I want. 18, I gotta get away. I've gotta get out of this place.
Yeah. I had lunch with Alice Cooper once, Gary Austin.
Did. Is that right?
Yeah, in South Carolina, in Sunset, South Carolina, at a golf course. It was the Cliffs at Kiowee Vineyards.
You know, I hear he's a really down-to-earth kind of guy, right?
He was. He plays golf every single day of his life.
Wow.
And basically, he replaced his other addictions with golf. And he's really good at it now. And so what happens is, he told me the whole story. He said he gets in the bus when the concert is over, goes to sleep, and then at 7 a.m., they've got it all charted out. You know, the bus pulls over, he wakes up, cleans up, goes out and plays golf every single day.
Wow.
Obviously, when he's in good weather anyway.
Now that's
his tour routine.
Is that like a lifestyle dream come true, I would say, for someone like yourself? Eventually, would you like to find yourself?
For him it is, and he basically said, I replaced one addiction with another, and that he used to drink huge amounts of liquor and booze and beer every single day. And he told me that I said, that welcome to my nightmare. I said, what's your nightmare? And he said that his nightmare is that he's trying to hit a golf shot, and he's got his club by the ball, and suddenly there are a bunch of chairs all around his ball, so that he can't swing his club back because he hits all the legs of the chairs.
Wow.
And his club is stuck, and he's trying to hit the ball.
He has a nightmare about it.
That's his nightmare. He has a recurring nightmare.
Have you got
He's
this?
nuts about golf.
Have you got this business of this time change business? Are you in sync with that? Okay.
Yeah, it was lighter later yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Very
it
nice.
was. And because of this, now we have State Department officials reminding us, as you drive about and go about your business, like toward the evening hours, be on the lookout because there's a better chance folks are going to be out rollerblading, bicycling, that sort of thing, because they have more time to do it. So something we haven't seen more folks out and about because of the shorter day. Now that it's longer, we're going to see more people. As a result, the opportunity for more injuries. So be on the lookout for that as you drive around.
Okay, we will do that. I wanted to talk to you, too, about danger. 4 men in custody after fleeing the scene of a crash in Grand Rapids. They bolted from a rollover crash on I-196 near Market Avenue. Troopers, with the help of a canine unit, helped arrest the men. They were near Millennium Park. No word on why they left the scene. One person treated for facial injuries suffered in the crash. So I guess they decided to hightail it out of there, and the dogs came to the rescue, Gary.
Yeah, I guess the key concern is there was this wreck, and what in the world, what would compel them to want to run? That's what police are trying to figure out now. Why would they want to do that? Tough financial times all over the place, and the city of Lansing for a long time has been able to avoid this sort of thing, and I've talked to Mayor Bernero a lot about it. His big thing is, get things balanced, get everything in order financially, and set it up in such a way where folks do not end up losing their jobs. And he's tried to work this every which way, and he's telling me this time there may be no avoiding it because the budget is so tight. He's putting together the final stats right now. In fact, soon he's going to have his budget plan ready for city council. In it, there could be not just layoffs of police and fire, and that's a real serious potential now for the city of Lansing. A number of fire stations could be closed.
120 jobs?
Yeah, up to that many, possibly. And also city cemeteries, for the first time ever, would be privatized. And for a long time, this has been a big issue. A municipal golf course, talk about privatizing that as well, the city overseeing that sort of thing. But the way it goes nowadays, just not enough money to do it. So the mayor's looking at all sorts of other options.
Jenison teenager recovering from hypothermia after attempting to cross an ice-covered lake. It's that time of year, Gary, where it might look frozen but might not be frozen. But the Ottawa County Sheriff's deputies say the 15-year-old went out on the thin ice at Maplewood Park, fell through twice before the rescue personnel could arrive. That's the stuff of nightmares, too. He was treated at the Spectrum Butterworth Hospital.
Yeah, it sure is. And with temperatures, warming up, and this is the way it is every time this time of year, you got to watch out for that sort of thing. The ice may look like it's really thick, but the problem is this. Maybe 2 days before, it maybe sort of melted a little bit, and then it got really a lot warmer the day after that. Then maybe the day after that, it got cold, but not cold enough to really freeze the ice solid like it was maybe a week earlier. And as a result, looks can be deceiving. So, for one thing, if walking on the ice is treacherous, imagine what it's like to be out there with a bunch of equipment, or, for heaven's sakes, a snowmobile or something.
Are you looking for a hotel job?
Hotel job? Well, I understand West Michigan is doing some hiring in that area.
City Flats Hotel is hosting a job fair for 20 new positions in all aspects of operations. Dozens more possible through vendors and construction. The executives decided to move forward with the project on Monroe Center because there's a lot of activity in downtown Grand Rapids, Art Prize and Laugh Fest and all the rest. So interviews for the City Flats Hotel and the jobs there are going to be held at the Holland location on East 7th Street, if you want to dig into that for more information.
You got to love that. Anytime we talk about hiring and jobs in this state, we can't talk enough about that.
Speaking of hiring and jobs, if you want to work at the Crittenden Hospital Medical Center in Rochester, or the Bixby Medical Center in Adrian, or the Herrick Medical Center in Tecumseh, you better not be a smoker. You know why? They will not hire anybody who smokes.
Period. Is that right?
Those health systems, private companies across the country are starting to adopt policies to hire only non-smokers. It's something we've known a lot about in mid-Michigan and Michigan for a long time. They say, hey, we want to live up to our health missions, so therefore we're just not going to hire smokers. It cuts back on the cost of health care, employee health care. And after all, if you're going to have a health facility, you can't have smoking in the facility or even around the facility, right?
Yeah, I got to say, now, how do they check for something like that?
I don't know how they confirm it, but I guess if you quit and you promise not to go walk out on the sidewalk and have cigarettes and all that, I don't know.
But what if you smoke at home?
There is a test, is there not?
I'm sure.
that healthcare companies
Yeah.
can give to see if you. I think it's a cheek swab or something like that.
I'm sure with all the tests they have today, it's probably pretty easy. Or just take a good whiff of a smoker's shirt or anything they're wearing, or be within like 3 feet, 5 feet of a smoker. You know what I mean?
But the
I mean,
question now
smokers smell
becomes,
like smoke.
what about the 1 in 5 Americans who smoke and they're using a legal product? They're using
Yeah.
it off the clock.
Right.
Could other employers say, "Yeah, we just don't want any part of that around here"? So
You
if you're
know,
a
you
smoker,
could
can't
open
come.
a real legal Pandora's box over that, couldn't you? I mean, it's one thing following the boss's rules and regs when you're at work, but if you're at home, it's your own business, and that's where the gray area comes in.
Is that discrimination?
I just have a feeling this could be heading to court someday. I just have that
Is
feeling.
that discrimination? Some people, I guess, for Lent, they've chosen to log off of Facebook.
Oh,
That would be really tough for some
that's got to
people.
be agonizing.
I haven't had a soda or a diet soda since Tuesday. That's mine.
Oh, is that your Lent give up there?
It's not been easy.
Is it tough? So what is it? What is it about soda that you like so much?
Well, I don't know, but I'm putting it out of my mind because I've been trying to beat the habit.
Now, but
I
you
like
can.
diet Pepsi.
Is it the carbo fizzy thing?
Gives
Is
me a
that what
little
you-
bit of a burst. At least mentally, that's what I think. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've
What about
I haven't
is it-
touched it since Tuesday.
Is it the caffeine or is it the
Yeah, I
fizz?
think so.
Or
So
combination?
I have a
of
little iced
whatever?
tea instead now. But anyway, that's my thing. Some people are giving up Facebook. Some people are giving up carbs or bread, like Rachel Chavez. Some people have given up nothing, like Amanda Wall. And, anyway, so there's that. Hey, by the way, a Southwest Airlines flight from Phoenix to Denver had to make an emergency landing yesterday. That was a 737 forced to land in Colorado Springs. There was smoke in the cockpit. All 141 passengers got off the flight safely. But we are covering travel for you as we do. And by the way, speaking of covering travel, next Monday we'll be at the Driving Tourism Conference, which is in Kalamazoo this year. And you know, Gary Austin, travel is in the top 3, travel and tourism in the top 3 industries in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
And so we'll be there to take the pulse of the travel industry and sort of sort out if we can see the future of the Pure Michigan campaign and the funding for it. That will be Monday,
Very
live
good.
from Kalamazoo. Thursday we'll be live from Ireland, thanks to the resorts of Tullymore. And coming up shortly, we're going to go live to Ireland in about 4 minutes, Gary. And we'll tell you everything you need to know about the Emerald Isle from Suzanne Carpenter, who is there right now. She is a television producer. And the United States Ambassador to Ireland, Dan Rooney, who is Chairman Emeritus of the Pittsburgh Steelers, will be with us later in the program. Tonight, too, Gary, the final 2 episodes are this week for Detroit 187, and our television expert Mike Hughes says it'll probably be the last time that show's ever seen on television.
Well,
So we'll talk with him about that a little bit later in the program.
and
Yes?
we should remind you that this update and news chat, a service of our friends at American Metal Roofs, never ever have to worry about the weather again with a beautiful guaranteed American Metal Roof. Learn more at AmericanMetalRoofs.com, AmericanMetalRoofs.com.
The Answer Man next hour, too, with Gary Austin. It's 35 after the hour. I'm Michael Patrick Shields. Well, I tell you what, there are a lot of ways to take this story at the moment. You're hearing U2 in the Name of Love, the great Irish rockers, and they will be coming to Spartan Stadium in East Lansing here in Michigan in July for a big summertime open-air show. That's going to be an absolute bash. Spartans got into the NCAA tournament. They're going to play UCLA on St. Patrick's Day wearing green, and on St. Patrick's Day this Thursday, we will be broadcasting live from the Doonbeg Golf Club in County Clare, Ireland, thanks to the resorts of Tullymore. And Rich Marino, one of the owners of Tullymore, is on the other end of our line right now. Good morning, and thank you for that sponsorship. We've been having a great time saying Tullymore and drinking Tullymore Dew.
Well, that's great, Michael Patrick. I hope you have a great time there and score real well.
Heaven in the palm of Michigan is what they say about your resort, just 20 minutes west of Mount Pleasant, not even an hour from Grand Rapids there, the beautiful golf course and the beautiful quiet scenery there. And, when you sit there and you breathe the fresh air and you listen to the good sound of living, you sort of realize that's a lot what it's like in Ireland, where you can sort of take a step back and relax if you want to. And I thought, Rich, for the people who visit Tullymore, one of these days they got to make the trip to Ireland. And Suzanne Carpenter is with us on the other end of our line. She's the director of strategic operations for Onlar TV. It's an internet TV channel for people who just love Ireland and can't get enough of it, and for the Irish who are away from home too. Good morning, Suzanne.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very good. 125 countries all around the world. The Irish are now occupying, and you're right there at the Guinness Enterprise Center. What's the Guinness Enterprise Center?
It's basically an office complex, but we're based inside the brewery.
Can you
So
imagine
it's
that?
really cool.
Rich Marino, if your offices were inside a brewery, how much fun that would be?
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if we'd get any work done, but it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, today I'm actually not in my office. I'm in another Dublin institution, and it's a bakery, because I heard you talking about bread earlier on. I'm in a bakery called Johnston, Mooney and O'Brien, and they're probably one of the top 3 bakeries in Ireland. And hopefully you'll get to taste some of their bread when you come over next week. Actually, this week.
Yeah.
On Thursday, you'll be over in County Clare. So, absolutely wonderful place, and the smell here is amazing.
Now, that Irish brown bread that is ever present when you go to Ireland, especially at breakfast, what's the secret of that? It's quite different, isn't it?
There is buttermilk.
Oh, buttermilk.
That's the secret of good brown bread, buttermilk.
Amanda, will you try the buttermilk brown bread when we're in Ireland? I know you're kind of a fussy eater. Will you give it a shot? Just say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich Marino is Italian. He's used to Italian food. He loves, all the pastas and the rest of it now. But, Rich, I want you to listen here, if you could, to Suzanne Carpenter, who is going to tell us and tell Amanda what are the components of a fry-up, of a traditional Irish breakfast, which is the best breakfast you'll get anywhere in the world. Can you go step by step through it, Suzanne?
First of all, there's Irish sausages. And Irish people are very, very fussy about bacon and pork. So when you come to Ireland, the sausages will be unlike anything you've ever experienced. A lot of our eggs in Ireland are free range, so we'll always have fried eggs, normally sunny side up. And in a lot of cases, free range bacon, either smoked or just well-cured, dry-cured bacon. The other component in an Irish breakfast has to be pudding, and there's 2 different types. One is a white pudding, again made with pork, and the other is a black pudding, and that's made, it's a blood pudding. But they're both heavily spiced, lots of herbs, and very, very good flavor.
Amanda's shaking her head and crossing her face. The black pudding, the blood pudding.
Can't do pudding.
Why?
I
It's
don't like the consistency.
You've
really,
tried it
of
before?
pudding of any kind.
Well, it's not pudding. It's like they're like discs. It's like sausage discs. It's called pudding.
It's like a big, thick sausage.
Yeah.
That's the way I can describe it, and it's cut into slices and fried.
Yeah. And it's called blood pudding. But you're gonna try it.
There's a lot of bread there. That's what I'm going to be living off of for the next week.
But you're not even.
You'll find lots of things in Ireland. Funnily enough, you have an Italian there, and I have to say, I love Italy, I love Florence, but we have better ice cream.
Better ice
Much
cream in
better ice
Ireland than
cream,
Italy?
because we have such a big dairy industry in Ireland that we have absolutely fantastic Irish ice cream.
And that's good stuff. And Rich, they're not even done. She's not even done describing the breakfast yet, because sometimes you get beans and tomatoes too.
I'm hungry already.
But we would have maybe mushrooms as well sometimes.
Oh, that's true too. See that, Rich? Look at that.
Sometimes you would have potato bread, which is
It
really
sounds like
nice.
a buffet to me.
Basically, you use mashed potatoes to make bread.
Well, Rich, I think
It sounds a bit unusual, but it really is very tasty.
you ought to come with us, Rich, one of these days, or I'll go with you to Italy. That's a better deal, I think. There, Rich is one of the only guys I know who's personally met a pope and been to his summer residence. And for Suzanne, if Rich wants to go online and watch the Onlar TV show and learn more about Ireland, how does he do that?
Well, basically, it's really simple. Our website address is www.anlar.tv.
Onlar TV, ANLAR.TV. Well, you can bet we'll be tuning in, and we look forward to see you. Rich, I never heard of somebody who has an office in a brewery, but call us jealous, right?
Well, we keep building. Maybe we could figure that one out, Michael.
That's right. Construction is on at the Villages of Tullymore, where you can live and play and visit on vacation. It's heaven in the palm of Michigan, and our broadcast live from Ireland, brought to you by the Resorts of Tullymore and the Flying Marino Brothers there. We'll see you all, too, Monday at the Driving Tourism Conference as well. Slanga full to Suzanne Carpenter and Rich Marino. Arrivederci.
Just as the clock struck 6, we sat down to the table.
10 minutes before the hour, Michael Patrick Shields. And I notice with daylight savings now, all of a sudden, everybody feels a little better, don't they? Feel a little warmer, feel like spring is here. And Dan Lane is the Vice President of American Metal Roofs, and he's on the other end of our line. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Are there considerations that you can make now that it's going to be lighter later? In other words, in terms of heating your house, can you keep the thermostat down a little bit?
Well, possibly a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, we spent some time with you on Friday and kind of pointed out a lot of different things that maybe even you can do, and most homeowners across Michigan can.
Yeah, this was fascinating. Dan came to my home with Frank Farmer from American Metal Roofs on Friday, and they did what's called an energy audit. And they basically took over the house. It didn't take long. It was about 90 minutes, but that's because I was asking a lot of questions along the way. Can you just describe what you did? And it's not just that you did it for me. You could do this for anyone, the energy audit. It's part of your business. What exactly did you do?
Well, the energy audit is really a comprehensive, it's a look at what's going on inside the home. We look at all aspects, everything from your insulation to your ventilation, which after 10 years of looking at attics, we've realized that your attic is really key in what's going on in your home, and I think we found that to be true in your case as well. So we come in, and there's really two parts of it. We do a blower door test where we negatively pressurize the house. It really takes the house and takes it 50 times worse than it would normally be. And it gives us a really, really good opportunity to look at what's going on, where your air leaks. Bypass is a big issue. That's a term you're going to hear more and more. And that's really the air that leaks into the attic. Mm-hmm. Along with that, we take our infrared camera, and we look at where are the leaks, what can we do to fix it. And most of the time, and I think we found this to be the case at yours too, it's pretty easy to fix, and I think we talked to you about some of the fixes. So,
yeah, you walked around with this looked like a camera, like you could digital camera, and you could look through the picture and see the different colors for where your wall was cold, or where obviously was a cold spot. And then when you did that reverse blower thing, I mean, it sounds complicated, but it was pretty simple. You basically just opened the front door and you put like a shell door in there with a fan. And you could put your hand and actually feel air coming like through the light sockets and through different parts of the windows. And another thing that was interesting to me, too, is that my wife, Christine, has been saying, we need new windows, we need new windows, we need new windows. And you proved that not to be the case, that the windows we had were just fine.
Well, and that's typical. And I would say your house is probably as typical as we see. Most of the time, there's this thought that the windows are the biggest leak, and I can tell you, I don't know that we found that to be the case yet. In the last 6 months, it's almost always other significant things. Look at your fireplace when we tested that. Mm-hmm. I think your comment was that the amount of air coming through there was about the same as what you'd expect on your dashboard with your air conditioner on high.
Yeah, and who knew? And you put your hand in front of it, and you can feel the air coming right in. So, in other words, it defeats your purpose when you're trying to heat the house in the winter and when you're trying to keep the house cool in the summer.
Absolutely, yeah. And most of the time, you're going to find a lot of those leaks, and every house has them. And this isn't a pass or fail type test.
Yeah.
We're really trying to find out where the worst problems are and how do we fix them. And most of the time, you're going to find they're simple fixes, and these are things that we offer to fix if that's what they want. A lot of times, the customers they'll choose to do them themselves. Sometimes it's a pick and choose, mm-hmm. If you will, and they'll go ahead and do some of the repairs themselves. In fact, I think we talked to you about a few of the repairs that can be done pretty inexpensively and simply by yourself.
Yeah, you were honest about that. You said, well, you might as well just do this yourself because it's real simple and it'll save you a lot of money. How much does it cost for an energy audit from American Metal Roofs?
Well, it's a tiered system, and for us to come out, sit down with you, and give you a just an overview, you're $195, and that's going to consist of a walkthrough. It does not involve the blower door. That is the second tier of the inspection, and that's $345. But at that point, we're going to show you exactly what needs to be done, how to do it, and quite honestly, I think the energy savings far outweigh the cost up front.
So from $195 to $345, somewhere in there, just depending on what type of energy audit you want. And Frank told me, Frank Farmer, that, and you concurred, that we could save, in my case, 40% off of our energy bills.
Yeah, that's a Department of Energy number. The range is 20 to 40% on your energy bills. But the reality is we always talk about today's dollars, and that's where the problem comes in. It's energy is rising at a cost of about 13% a year. At that point, for my home example, we're looking at probably $300 a month. Over the next 20 years, I'm going to spend $175,000.
It's staggering. It's staggering, isn't it?
Huge.
Thanks for the education, Dan, and for letting everybody know you can get an energy audit for your home. It takes about an hour and a half, and when they leave, they hand you a piece of paper and say, here are the fixes you might want to consider. You can do them yourselves, or you can hire us to do it. Just go to AmericanMetalRoofs.com, AmericanMetalRoofs.com, or Google up the phone number. They're in Charlotte and Flint, anywhere in the state. They'll come to you and do the same thing they did for me, an energy audit, just in time for spring cleaning. It's Michael Patrick Shields. Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Monday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. Michigan State, and Oakland University are going to the NCAA tournament, which starts Thursday, St. Patrick's Day. The day we'll be broadcasting live from Ireland, thanks to the resorts of Tullymore. And Gary Austin is our anchorman this morning. I don't know if you realize this, Gary, but our broadcast in Ireland is making news all over the place.
It is.
Yep, it's been in the Kerry newspaper in Ireland. It's been in a couple of Irish newspapers. And the woman that we spoke to earlier from the Irish internet TV station, Anlar TV, she works in Dublin there at the Guinness Enterprise Center. Her office is right in the brewery, essentially, there. And they put out television all about Ireland. And we scheduled an interview with her today because Amanda Wall said she reached out to us from Dublin after hearing we were coming to Ireland to broadcast. What did she say?
She said that she actually heard about us from Grand Rapids. There's a lot of listeners that view her television show, and they also live in Grand Rapids. And they had been listening to an interview that you just did recently with somebody from Guatemala who was in the Irish Top 100 companies. And so since then, they've been listening to the show, and that's how they found us. She said it's a really small world.
It is a small world. And here, see how this works, Gary? I say it in this microphone. It goes over the air in Grand Rapids, let's say. Someone in Grand Rapids is listening, and they contact someone in Ireland and say, hey, our hometown radio station's coming to broadcast from Ireland. And the people in Ireland on TV contact us to say, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you. So isn't that something?
I think it accentuates the scope and depth and reach of this radio program.
Well, it's pretty neat. It's MichiganTalkNetwork.com if you want to connect with us online. We also have a Facebook page, which is called
Michael Patrick Shields in the morning.
There you can find us on Facebook, and we're on YouTube, too. The YouTube channel is MPS in the AM, and that's at youtube.com, right?
It's youtube.com/MPS
in the AM. And, of course, you can call us the old-fashioned way at 888-900-9966. This is not necessarily a news story, but it is renewed by the fact that there are some health companies in Michigan who've decided not to hire smokers. The Bixby Medical Center in Adrian, the Herrick Medical Center in Tecumseh, and the Crittenden Hospital in Rochester say, if you're a smoker, you cannot work for us. They want to lower employee health care costs, and after all, they want to live up to their health mission. And if they want to promote health, you can't have a nurse standing outside the building smoking, right? So the policy, though, is raising questions. 1 in 5 Americans still smoke. 1 in 5. And it's legal. So is that discrimination if the company says we're not going to hire you if you're a smoker? Now, a lot of people remember Waco in Michigan. That made lots of news in 2005 when they banned workers from smoking even in the privacy of their homes. And they had testing to make sure the employees were following the rules. Now these companies say, look, we're healthcare companies. We're not interested in having you if you're a smoker. What do you think, Gary? I mean, wasn't it always strange to see somebody, a nurse or a doctor, in a room trying to save a patient's life, trying to improve their life, and then they go outside and drag on a cigarette? Didn't make sense to me, did it?
Well, it's one of those things, and for those of us who don't smoke, we know, you just don't do it. But for those who do, we have to sympathize with those folks because we know so many have tried, to try everything to quit. And that nicotine addiction is such. I guess I've heard some say, if you don't smoke, it's real easy to sort of, I don't know, pass judgment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, if you do and you're trying to kick the habit, and you're doing everything you can, it's just super tough. On the other side, there are those who may argue that if Company X says, well, if you can't do this, then what's to say you can't drink? Because that could also potentially, impede your on-the-job performance. But then the other side says, no one's holding a gun to anybody's head that says you have to work at this hospital. If you can't abide by the hospital's rules and regs, I mean, they're the boss. They're the one, they're setting the guidelines. They're paying the bills, paying the salaries. Some may argue, why not allow a hospital or individual company to set up certain guidelines that employees can and cannot follow?
Well, where does it stop, too? Because let's say a healthcare company decides to say, you drink Coca-Cola? Do you realize how bad that is for you? You can't work for us.
Right.
Or you're carrying a Twinkie in your lunchbox, and you see we're trying to make, where does it stop?
But the thing is, though, some are going to say, again, it's the individual company has the rights to set the guidelines because they're paying the bills, they're covering all the costs, and they should be the ones who decide who works for them and who doesn't. And if they want to set up certain guidelines that employees have to follow, it should be up to them.
But there are discrimination laws.
No, but and some may argue, if you don't like it, go work someplace else. You're right, there are, but there are no laws like that on the books. Will there be because of all this chatter? Perhaps. We'll see. The legislature, the case involving the Waco, the provider here, the healthcare provider.
Big story back in 2005.
Yes, several years ago, it made news, and there was a lot of chatter, some saying that the legislature ought to get involved, and some lawmakers were talking about it. Now, nothing ever came of it, but as this continues to make news, I could easily see it, eventually, coming up for debate on the House and Senate.
But they're saying you can't smoke at home, let alone, this is what Waco was, too. It's not only that they didn't want you to smoke on the property or during your lunch break. They don't want you to smoke at home. That's what these hospitals are saying too. And I guess there's a test. It's a cotton swab or something, a cheek swab or something that can tell if you've had tobacco or not.
Yeah. Well, it's an argument that's going to be going back and forth for who knows how long. And it'll be curious to see if this will have to be decided eventually, either in the courts or through the legislative system. Who knows?
It is, I guess.
Oh, is that how they do it?
That's what I hear.
Well, you can test for anything nowadays.
And there are companies, too, who want to get their employees to work on their eating habits and get people to exercise.
Right.
So the question is any of this discrimination? 888-900-9966 is the number to call. 888-900-9966. Now, it's very interesting, too. You can ban people from smoking on company property. But how embarrassing is it when, let's take Delta Dental, for instance, if you drive down Okemos Road. I don't think you'll ever find a dentist that'll tell you smoking's good for your oral hygiene, right? But if you go in front of Delta Dental on Okemos Road and the building is set, 70 yards, maybe it's 100 yards back from the road, and there's a big lawn, and then there's a public sidewalk, you'll see employees at the foot of the driveway on the public sidewalk, whatever time of year it is, smoking cigarettes. So when you drive past Delta Dental, the first thing you see are people smoking out front, and then the lawn, and then this big gleaming glass building. 888-900-9966 is the number to call. 888-900-9966.
We should say, too, we sympathize with millions of smokers out there who are trying to quit that insidious habit once and for all. We know you're trying, do your best.
But it's still
Keep
legal.
at it.
It's still legal.
But it
and
is.
Some people love it.
It is still legal, and as long as it's legal, I mean, where do you draw the line?
There's cigar smokers, there are hookah smokers, you name it.
Yep,
it's all legal.
Yes, it is. Okay, you'll never have to worry about the weather with a beautiful guaranteed American Metal roof. Learn more at AmericanMetalRoofs.com. AmericanMetalRoofs.com, bringing you this news update in Detroit. Quite a scare yesterday afternoon. Here's why. Man's body was found right dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Somebody got close to his body, and they thought they saw something that looked unusual. Maybe a bomb. So the bomb squad gets the call. Out they come. Crews get real close. Turns out it was a camera this guy had on him. That mystery solved, but another mystery still prevails. Officers trying to figure out who killed this guy in the first place. All right, now that we've moved our clocks ahead, right ahead, that means more daylight at the end of the day. And with temps warming up, that combination will prompt more to do things outdoors, and police are reminding us as we drive about, be aware of that, because where before there may have been few, if any, riding their bikes, walking, or doing whatever, now there could be quite a few more out enjoying this warmer weather. And warmer weather, too, means ice on our many lakes is starting to get really thin, in some spots dangerously thin, so the experts are telling us better stay clear, if at all possible, of ice, and that includes you ice fishermen out there who don't carry a whole lot of gear. But for those of you out on a snowmobile or whatever, I've seen some folks even, for heaven's sakes, three-wheeling it on ice. Could never figure that out, but whatever. People have their kicks. They do what they want to do, but you go out there with a heavy piece of equipment like that, you're just asking for trouble. So watch out. And here in Lansing, ongoing financial concerns for the city as Mayor Bernero gets all set and ready to hand over the details of his new budget plan. We are getting word some, actually quite a few, could end up losing their jobs.
160?
Yeah. Well over that many or more, perhaps, who now work in the police and fire departments may not be for much longer. The situation is that dire around here.
You think he really means it, or is this some sort of negotiating scare?
I think it's pretty clear that the city is having a tough financial go of it. We have a sizable rainy day reserve fund here. We could dip into that. Some in the city say, why not? Let's go for it. That's what it's there for. But the mayor says, hold on, because if there are tougher times down the road, we may really, really need that money then. So he wants to avoid that at all costs. And as a result of this, tough budget times, even some fire stations, as many as 3, could close in the city of Lansing.
Mayors all across the state are facing the same problems as the state capitol itself, says Gary Austin at 18 minutes after the hour. It's Michael Patrick Shields, the Answer Man, coming next, and a full sports update, too. That music signifies that it's time for the Answer Man, Gary Austin. He's the man who petitions the Answer Man. People said that MPS, he's got an answer for everything. And so I became the Answer Man, or the son of Answer Man. And, my wisdom is the music might indicate doesn't always come from the east, like a lot of the soothsayers and mystics. Sometimes it comes from parts south. And because of that, I have never been wrong, not one time. Not one time, Gary Austin, have you stumped the Answer Man.
Try as I might, I fail
just doesn't
every time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Alice Cooper going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, here's what the Answer Man doesn't understand. If the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, Ohio, why is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony in New York City tonight?
Oh.
Why don't they have it in Cleveland?
That's a good question. Probably because New York City being New York City,
Detroit and Michigan, do you realize we have more than 10% of the entire Hall of Fame come from Detroit and Michigan?
Hey, that's great.
Alice Cooper.
Yep.
Think of it. Bob Seger, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Madonna. We have 18 performers from Detroit in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And someday Iggy Pop, I predict.
If not already. I'd have to check the list, to be honest with you. Alice Cooper is 63 years old. He's since relocated to Arizona, but he's a proud Detroiter, a Lions fan. He loves golf, and he is a nice guy, even though the song says no more Mr. Nice Guy. I got a chance to have lunch with him one time down in Carolina at a golf tournament. We had a great time. He was very friendly, very fun, and I know that he's, softened in his older age, and his vice is now golf instead of booze. But we welcome Alice Cooper to Detroit's Tally of Stars at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The induction is tonight. Neil Diamond is also going in, Tom Waits, and Dr. John, too. And you know who's going to introduce Alice Cooper? Rob Zombie, another shock rocker.
All right.
So that'll take place tonight. We're going to hear some we're going to hear some Neil Diamond along the way too, aren't we? Or is it going to be all Alice Cooper?
Man, he's fast. How does he do that so quickly?
This Tony Cuthbert fingers, we should call him from now on. He's got a little. You know why? You know what he did? He took Neil Diamond and he said, "How can I connect Neil Diamond to Michigan?" And so he pulled this song. Do you know why he pulled this song, Gary?
Why?
He pulled this Neil Diamond song to connect to Michigan because Neil Diamond, who's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tonight, wildly famous, had this hit. Cherry Cherry for Traverse City in Michigan. Right?
Hey, I like that.
Well done.
That makes sense.
All right, so that's the news from New York and I guess Cleveland and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. What is your question?
Here we go. Number one. Well, I tell you, it takes all kinds nowadays. All right, folks who want to donate to Japanese earthquake relief efforts should be wary of what?
Swindlers.
Yeah, believe it or not, scam artists.
Yep.
Anytime something like this happens, you can count on it. And we have police saying it's common for fraudulent charities to crop up out of nowhere and take advantage of our generosity during times of crisis. What's new? And, well, I tell you, some of the usual questions to ask. Make sure you know exactly, where this money is heading. And don't be afraid to ask a whole bunch of questions. That's what we're always told when anybody calls to try to pitch you for something like that. Really get a feeling that everything's on the up and up because it's sad, but true today. You almost have to go in thinking that you're going to get ripped off, that is this outfit really legit? Isn't it kind of human nature today to always think that? And then only until you ask a whole slew of questions do you start feeling a little bit better about who you're talking with.
I met someone last week who is a professional fundraiser. She works for a professional fundraising firm.
That's got to be tough work.
That's what I said. I said, how does it work? She said, I go in for 8 hours and make phone call after phone call. And it's a computer. It's a machine so that when she hangs up with one, the next one is ready to go. So she doesn't dial, that kind of thing. So all day, hi, I'm so-and-so from the so-and-so professional fundraising company calling on behalf of breast cancer or whatever it might be. And I said, how many make it past that? Not many. He says some people hang up, but they have to identify that they're a professional fundraising firm.
Yeah.
So then, if the people finally agree to give some money, then she connects them over to somebody who does all the credit card work. But I said, one of the thing when I hear that you're a professional fundraiser, or when someone calls me and says they're a professional fundraiser, immediately I think, well, how much percentage does the fundraising company get versus what I give? Goes to and it's 80-20.
Yeah.
80-20.
80-20.
80 goes to the fundraising company. 20% of what you give goes actually to the charity.
Is that right?
In this case.
Wow. Yeah. Now, some charities, of course, do their own soliciting.
So maybe it's a question you might want to ask. Are you a fundraising company or are you calling directly from the charity? Now, I don't know. Maybe it's a good deal for the charity to get 20% if somebody does 80% of the work.
Especially you got to figure that these outfits are really, they're trying to hit hit a zillion people. So you figure if your failure rate is such, but if your success rate is such, in sheer volume, it may all balance out.
So I can't really say. All I know is the number was 80-20. Whether you think that's okay or not is beyond me. I don't know. What's your next question?
Next one involves a very famous actor now. That's for sure. He's sort of famous before, but now he's, really famous, at least well-known. And for this guy, it took just 18 minutes for everybody to snap up tickets for Who's live tour. This guy's got a live tour.
This is too funny to be true. Charlie Sheen.
You're right.
Winning.
Yeah, he's winning. And why did he have to pick Michigan as one of the first places he's coming? He's going to do a stage show. All right, by all accounts, he's kind of a maniac, right? And he's
winning.
The show is called Charlie Sheen Live, My Violent Torpedo of Truth. Defeat is not an option. Now, that's what he's selling, this stage show, okay? And why did he have to pick Detroit and Chicago to be like, particularly Michigan? And when he said he's coming to Michigan, I laughed and I said, well, they must think that there's they must think they're going to sell tickets here. And you know what they did? It sold out almost instantly.
It's true. People
want to go to the Fox Theater in downtown Detroit and see whatever Charlie Sheen's going to do on the stage.
But this is curious. Charlie Sheen is not making a penny out of this because every dollar from every ticket's going to go to the Red Cross, which in turn is going to go to help those affected by the tsunami in Japan.
Is that true?
Every single dollar is being contributed, to earthquake relief.
So he must have decided that after the fact because this tour was scheduled before the tsunami.
He just wants to get the word out. I mean, remember Charlie Sheen within the last several weeks. I mean, he turned around. He's on another talk show.
Winning.
Yeah.
And he said, I like that great quote. He said in the end, a reporter asked him, he said, gee, after all of this, I mean, do you really think that you're going to end up having a job? I mean, do you feel you may have to go begging the producers at the network for your job back? And his quote was, never mind that. When all this is said and done, they're going to be begging me for their jobs back.
Yeah.
That's what Charlie Sheen said. So
my favorite line he said is, I'm tired of pretending I'm not special.
Oh, I like that
one.
That's good.
I'm tired of pretending I'm not special.
You got to admit, he's really making hay out of this, and it sure is interesting. Can you think of any actor or actress that's gone through something similar, having a row with their producers, and but
Mel
going
Gibson had a really bad term, but he's never really redeemed himself.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, but to go to this extent that Charlie Sheen has, I mean, he's going to this extent and then some.
Yeah.
And with this latest tour is taking it to a whole new level.
Here he comes. He's coming to Michigan. It's April 2nd, as I understand, the day after April Fool's Day.
They are calling this Apple Madness. What is that all about?
It's got to be something to do with a computer.
Yeah, the iPad 2. Long lines at Apple stores all over the place because, well, quite a few folks just can't wait.
iTouch, iPad, me.
$4.99 a pop. What do you think? Do you have one?
No.
You don't?
No.
Are you going to get?
No.
No.
I don't know.
It's called a sports model.
Can you keep up?
Hang on. I'm going to tempt you here. It's called a sports model.
Yeah.
It's thinner, lighter, faster, built-in cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Are you enticed?
It's about the size of a magazine, isn't it? And it's about as thin.
Yeah.
So you can carry it around very easily, as I understand.
It's everybody says it's one word sums all of this up. What is it? Answer, man.
One word.
Sums all, general reaction to the iPad 2. One word. One single word.
Adoration.
Yeah, close enough. Amazing is what most people say.
I got it with an A.
So, yeah,
Time
close
for
enough.
one more question, maybe two if they're fast.
All right, let's go here. This is a neat one here. For all of you boaters out there, the State Department of Transportation has issued a reminder something is not going to be done in quite a few harbors this time around that had been done in past years. What is it?
They're not going to dredge.
Yes.
You're going to leave it to the harbors to do.
Very good. I thought I'd stump you on that one. Yep, harbors got to do it. And some of these folks who own marinas and eateries and that sort of thing in these harbors, they're concerned that some folks may stay away, afraid they may ground their boat if the harbor is not dredged.
All right. When we get back, a full sports report. There's plenty to talk about. Coming up later, the United States Ambassador to Ireland and the Chairman Emeritus of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dan Rooney, will join us. It's Michael Patrick Shields. 20 minutes before the hour, Michael Patrick Shields heard all across the state of Michigan. Now, the answer man has to make a correction for the anchor man, Gary Austin, who said that all of Charlie Sheen's cabbage that he makes, all the cheese he squeezes out of Detroit for coming to the Fox Theater, is going to the Red Cross to aid the tsunami victims in Japan. Not true. It's only $1. Right. It's $1 from every. Now that makes more sense.
Winning.
Yeah. So he's still winning. Don't worry about Charlie Sheen. Only $1. So every ticket. So, well, let's just get this straight here. If it's $1 from every ticket and the Fox Theater holds about 6,000 people, that's not that much money, is it? Costs more to collect it than it would to send it out there. Michigan and Michigan State. Speaking of tickets, they're going to the NCAA tournament. There he goes with the Spartan music first, Tony Cuthbert. The Spartans are a 10 seed in the Southeast region. They're going to play 7 seed UCLA. And the Michigan Wolverines went in as an 8 seed in the West region, and they're going to go and play 9th seeded Tennessee. So they have their work cut out for them. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies won their way in with a 17-1 conference record. We even have their fight song from Rochester, Michigan. 13th seed, and they're going to play 4th-seeded Texas. Let's hope all three aren't knocked out by the weekend. Now, I don't mean to sound negative, but this is going to be an uphill battle. And the magic can happen, though. Got to let it. Just think the Spartans are going to be wearing green on St. Patrick's Day when they play Thursday. So let's have the luck of the Irish there. And there you have. I bet you never heard the Oakland University fight song before. The Fenville Blackhawks basketball team still competing in the Class C high school basketball playoffs after the death of their star Wes Leonard at the end of the regular season. You remember that he died shortly after making the game-winning layup, keeping his team 20-0, undefeated. And the Michigan and the world are watching. Tonight, Fenville will take on Schoolcraft at Vicksburg. 1,500 tickets were sold by the two schools last night, and the Michigan High School Athletic Association is going to release another 500 at 8 o'clock in the morning today. And Fenville marches on with the support of the state and the world behind them. You're filling out your bracket maybe this morning, so you're like, well, okay, Michigan, Michigan State, Oakland, what about the rest of them? Well, the top seeds are Ohio State, Kansas, Pitt, and Duke. Those are the number 1 seeds. And there were some snubs, too. Colorado, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and Alabama say, hey, we should be in, and we're not, even though the field expanded to 68 teams. Nick Watney carded a final round 5 under 67 to win at Doral. That's the Cadillac Championship, the World Golf Championship event there in Miami. He beats Dustin Johnson. And down in Puerto Rico in the other PGA Tour event this weekend, it's Michael Bradley winning in a playoff at Trump International Golf Club in Puerto Rico. And Justin Hicks from Michigan, who we talked to on the program earlier, it was early last week. He finished 18th and got himself $47,000, $250 and change. Now, is that enough to cover his trip to Puerto Rico and his hotel and any casino gambling and all? Well, we'll see. Good for him, though. He's right here from Wyandotte, Michigan. Miguel Cabrera, 3 hits and 2 RBIs. Nice to hear about him playing baseball instead of being in trouble. Tigers beat the Orioles 9-1 yesterday in the spring ball. They're going to take on the Washington Nationals today at 1:05 p.m. And that, the Pistons were winners on the weekend and the Red Wings were losers. That was all Saturday, though. Is a look at sports brought to you this morning by me. Coming up later, the man who owns the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the chairman emeritus of the Steelers. Dan Rooney is going to join us. He's also the United States ambassador to Ireland on this St. Patrick's Day week. And you'll remember that his nephew, Brian Rooney, lives here in Michigan in the Ann Arbor area and ran for Congress. Did not win. Tim Wahlberg beat him in the primary. But Brian Rooney is on the board of the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. And we see now that there's a labor stoppage, if you want to call it labor, in the NFL. What happens next? Will we, as Brian Rooney predicted on this program, lose half of the NFL season next year? Dan Rooney will join us from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ambassador Rooney. In fact, I think, do I call him Your Excellency or Mr. Ambassador? We're going to have to check with our protocol expert and make sure that I get this right. And you'll remember that when Mitt Romney was campaigning for president, the Republican, and he was coming through Michigan. Now, Mitt Romney had Michigan connection, right? His father was the governor of Michigan. He grew up in Michigan, and then he went on and became the governor of Massachusetts and then decided to run for president. He was a strong candidate on the Republican side, and he called this program while he was campaigning in Michigan, and I said to him, if you become president, ...
What shot have I got at being named U.S. Ambassador to Ireland?
Well, with a name like Michael Patrick, I think you got a pretty good shot indeed.
My fingers are crossed then. Thank you very much.
So Mitt Romney didn't get the job of president, and I didn't get the job of U.S. Ambassador to Ireland. Dan Rooney did, though, and he'll be joining us later. I'm driving a 2008 Chevy Trailblazer right now for Hyundai of Lansing. In fact, I'm going to be dropping it off at the dealership today. It's available for you. Just about 33,000 miles on it, pre-owned, and less than the Blue Book value. The Blue Book value is $22,090. Cheryl Freeborough will let you have it from Hyundai of Lansing for only $18,795. So it's well below the Blue Book value. Parked right in front of our American Metal Roofs studio, and it can be yours. Wherever you are in the state, they'll deliver it right to you. And I'm telling you, that was a heck of a fun ride I'm going to miss it. And I hope you enjoy it. $18,795 for a 2008 Chevy Trailblazer. It's black and ebony on the inside and coming your way. Coming your way next, Will Tiemann, the voice of the Michigan State Spartans. I'm Michael Patrick Shields. The voice of the Michigan State Spartans on radio, Will Tiemann, is on the other end of our line this morning, warming up for his NCAA appearance. Good morning to you, sir.
Well, good morning. I guess we're still alive, huh?
Not only that, you get to go to Tampa, Florida. That isn't all bad.
Oh, no, it's not all bad. And, you know, it's funny, when we got back from Indianapolis yesterday, you know, you start reviewing things that were said as on our network. We'll be having our preview special tonight at 7. Shameless plug there, sorry.
Perfect.
Anyway, but as we go through it, we're going reviewing quotes and things that were said when the season had some ups and downs. And one of the things that was a consistent message from Tom Izzo was, on our worst day in the Big Ten season, he kept telling everybody we weren't dead and not give up on this team. And here we are. We're in the tournament for the 14th straight time, and no Big Ten has done that of recent memory. So it's all good.
It's all good, and the point of the fact is, too, that the Spartans played one of the toughest schedules anyone could possibly imagine. They've been through injuries. They've had people kicked off the team, and they're still standing, and they're still in the NCAA tournament. And I don't know, would you want to bet against them against UCLA? I wouldn't.
No, and it's interesting, Michael Patrick, statistically speaking. And by the way, I have not seen UCLA yet. I'll do that tonight. But they match up pretty similarly, and the schedules they played they have some similarity as well. But when you take a look at where this thing sets for Michigan State, obviously, as you just pointed out, nobody's played a more difficult schedule than MSU. And the good news is, as Tom pointed out last night, for once we're at least in the same time zone. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then if you get by the Bruins, and then you probably will play Florida next. And as you look at those two, obviously they're both really good teams, but it isn't one of those situations where you go, wow, how do you beat those guys? We just know if we play, we can play pretty well. We saw that against Purdue.
Is it fair for people to say, well, it's Tom Izzo, it's the NCAA tournament, he knows how to pull a rabbit out of the hat? Is that a fair thing to say, or is that expecting too much?
No, I don't. You know, it's funny, and he's even alluded to this. They talk about the magic dust and the rabbit out of the hat and that kind of thing. All of that happens because of great preparation, know-how, and hard work, and players with talent. And so we know this. History tells us that when we get ready to play the Bruins, our guys will be more ready than you can imagine. Now, get this. Obviously, we don't play many teams in the Pac-10. We played University of Washington and Maui, and that's been it, right? After it was announced who and where, I went up to our video guys and said, okay, how many games of UCLA do we have right now that we can look at? And the answer was 27. Now, you only play about 30 games in a regular season if you're a college basketball team. They've got 27 of them on video. And that just gives you an idea how deep their prep goes. And so I don't know how good the Bruins are at preparing, but I don't think they're better than Michigan State.
Well, it'll be fun to watch. It's on St. Patrick's Day, and the Spartans wear green, so that doesn't hurt either, does it?
No, I tell you what. And now it's time to grab, shamrocks, horseshoes, rabbits, but wherever you have, because it would be fun to see this team get going. Because as you pointed out, it's been a tough year on a whole lot of fronts, and it would be neat to end this thing strong. Because one thing you do know, we got players, and they just haven't been real lucky. And maybe this will be the time when it all comes together. And history says this is the time that happens.
Let's hope you're right. Now, we're going to let you rest your voice because hopefully you're going to have a long way to go still in this postseason. But I wondered if I enjoy your broadcast so much. I wonder if there's one thing you could do for me on the phone right now that we can use over and over and over because it would be fun. Would you say, Michael Patrick Shields, he got it, like that, like you do during the game?
Are you ready?
Ready.
Michael Patrick from the corner. He's measuring a three. He got it. He really got it.
We love it. We love your excitement and your dedication to the craft, too, of broadcasting, the award-winning Will team. And have fun in Tampa, and we'll see you down the road.
Okay, thanks a lot, Michael Patrick.
All the best to Will team and the voice of the Michigan State Spartans. He got it. He got it. It's almost like he's surprised. He got it. Ambassador Rooney, the United States ambassador to Ireland, coming up right after the top of the hour news. I also want to let you know, you got to be careful now. A Jenison teenager recovering from hypothermia after an attempt to cross an ice-covered lake. The Ottawa County Sheriff's deputy said that the 15-year-old went out on thin ice on the lake at Maplewood Park yesterday. He fell through twice before the emergency crews could get to him, and so please exercise caution and teach your kids to exercise caution as well. Crescent City, California residents cleaning up from the tsunami Friday. The 8-foot surge rolled into the city's harbor. Ready for this damage amount? $25 million. 6 boats sank. Almost all the docks were destroyed. So California did get a little bit of that tsunami. And Detroit 187 may be history on ABC. The last 2 episodes are this week. Next hour, Mike Hughes will tell us whether that show is coming back or not. Television viewers, thanks for being with us. Battle Los Angeles, by the way, was the #1 movie at the box office this weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Radio listeners, stay right where you are. It's Michael Patrick Shields.